All right, this is example number 4. 4y squared equals 14y minus 6. First thing I'm going to do is to put this into standard form, which is equals on one side, equals 0 on one side of the equation and the other terms on the other side of the equation. Usually on the left, but not necessarily. So I rewrite this as 14y squared minus, 4y squared minus 14y plus 6 equals 0. I just moved this 14y to the left. It becomes minus 14y. Change the sign. Move this minus 6 term to the left. It becomes plus 6. And you're left with a 0 over here. Don't forget the 0. So that's standard form for a polynomial equation. Okay, now it had a common factor of 2. So always look for a common factor before you start doing anything fancy. So it has this common factor of 2 for all three terms. So I factored out the 2. And what remains on the other factor is just all these things divided by 2. So 4y squared over 2 is 2. Minus 14y over 2 is minus 7y. And plus 6 over 2 is 3. Okay. So factor out the 3. Now the 2 isn't 0, and so the other factor must be 0. And then I'm going to use the AC method, just because I decided to. So AC is the 2 times the 3, 2 times the 3, which is 6. You want two factors, well, this is a plus, so both factors will have the same sign. So to get the middle term, I'm adding them. They have to both be negative because this is negative. So what I want here is negative 1 and negative 6, because you add those, you get negative 7. Okay. So I'm going to write out my middle terms with coefficients negative 1 and negative 6. And I put the negative 6 next to the 3 just because they have a common factor of 3. Although actually I think on this one, I think if you switch the two middle terms, it still works. And you still get the same answer. But anyway, I factored out the greatest common factor of the first two terms, which is y. So I get y times 2y minus 1. And then for the second term, remember, if this middle term here is negative, always factor out the negative. So the greatest common factor here is 3. I'm going to factor out negative 3 because of that minus there. And then what is in the other factor is just negative 6y over negative 3, which is 2y, and 3 over negative 3, which is negative 1. Now we have two terms with one common factor each, this 2y minus 1, so we factor out the 2y minus 1. What remains in the first factor of the first term, you're factoring out the 2y minus 1, so you divide this first term by 2y minus 1 and you get y. Divide the second term by 2y minus 1 and you get minus 3. And make sure you put parentheses around that. Then I have now it's factored. I have the product of these two factors equals 0. So I get each of them equals 0, right? Either y minus 3 equals 0 or 2y minus 1 equals 0. Solve for y in each of them. Y equals 3 for the first one. For the second one, you get 2y equals 1. And then you cross multiply and you get y equals 1/2. Now you need to check these in the original equation. So you're going to check the left side and check the right side with 3, see if they're the same, and check the left side and the right side with y equals 1/2 to see if those are the same. So here's my checks. First I did the left side. 4 times 3 squared equals 36. Then the right side, 14, right here, putting 3 in here. 14 times 3 minus 6. It's 42 minus 6 equals 36, so that checks. Now, if you wanted to put this second one in your calculator, that's okay, but I would write down this part first. That's to make sure that you enter it in your calculator correctly. Most of the time when people enter things incorrectly in their calculator, it's because they didn't write down what they were calculating first. So just write down what you're calculating, then put it in the calculator, and then you're more likely to get the right answer. So these are both the same, so that checks. So y equals 3 is indeed a solution to this equation. And then let's try a half. Y equals 1/2. You get on the left side 4 times 1/2 squared. The left side of this, 4 times 1/2 squared is 4 times 4, which is 1. And then you do the right side, 14. Right, 14y minus 6, so 14 times 1/2 minus 6 is right here. 14 times 1/2 minus 6 is 7 minus 6, which is also 1. So these two are the same, so that checks out too. So these are my two answers. I would write my answers. It depends on how they tell you to write your answer, so you have to look. You have to get in the habit of looking at how they want the answer. Sometimes they'll give you 2 spaces, and you'll write y equals 3 and y equals 1/2 in the 2 spaces. Sometimes they'll give you 1 space, and they'll say write the 2 solutions with a comma between them, so you just write 3 comma 1/2. Sometimes they say give the solution set. The solution set, you put the curly brackets, and you put 3 comma 1/2 close curly bracket. Okay, so you have to pay attention to what they ask for. It's very important, or it'll mark you wrong.